So, lads, today we are going to be talking about what Candace Parker has said about Caitlin Clark, which is very, very interesting. So, lads, obviously, I have been a little bit late to videos the last couple of days, and I do want to apologize for that. Just a lot of stuff on. I was in the doctor's earlier today, and hopefully, touch wood, my computer's okay. My new PC is here, so you guys might see the black screens or some iffy things over the next maybe day or two. Over the next video or two. And as soon as I'm recording a couple of videos, then I'm immediately after that going to be sorting out my PC. So anyway, is Candace Parker right here talking about Caitlin Clark on a podcast? Let's take a listen.
Are a generational talent. And I say that in, Diana, Maya, myself, Breanna, Steward, Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson. You're gonna experience the physicality. Like, the scouting report is to stop you, and a lot of it is to be physical.
And they're not wrong. She's not wrong with that. Like, look, I stand by. I don't think Caitlin Clark was ever that physically weak. But the scouting report was that she is the best way to guard her is by being physical. That the physicality bothered her, which is true, which is 100% true. The physicality did in fact bother Caitlin Clark. So yeah, like early in her career, but doesn't seem to bother her too much. And hopefully, putting on muscle is not what affected her quad, but you just never know. But yeah, let's take a listen. But obviously, we'll see in 3 or 4 years with that.
Do you take a couple extra licks from people? Yeah. Like, was I the rookie coming in and got shot, different shots taken at me or hard fouls or, oh yeah, for sure. That's a part of the game. I think the problem is now it's a balancing act of society and the expectations of women versus what is necessary in sports. And
I actually don't think she's wrong with that necessarily. The problem is that you've got these old fans that were not basketball fans. There was not an expectation for sports. So when basketball fans came in, everything becomes a knock at a person. You can't joke about a player without it being considered harassing. Centel is apparently now harassment, according to these fans. Like, it is like sports. Sports is entertainment at the end of the day. And that's the reason why these players make so much money. But a lot of the league, including maybe the league itself, doesn't consider sports to be entertainment. But yeah, that's just my opinion of it anyway.
For so long, they were conflicting in that women in society were supposed to be strong, but not too strong, where, like, your muscles. Like, I remember not wanting to go up in weight in college, power clinging, because I'm like, oh, my shoulders in the dress are looking kind of muscular. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna bench. Like, who cares? You're gonna see my muscles. So I think it's a different generation of players that are willing to take on society's problems with women.
I mean, obviously, as somebody that's no experience in that, like, I'm not going to make a statement on that. But let's see, is there any other posts about Candace Parker? Because there were other things that she did say. There were other things that Candace Parker did, in fact, say. Obviously, she was talking about the turnovers and a lot of other things with Caitlin Clark. And that's the thing where it's like, I don't mind the turnover numbers, but it's just where the turnovers came from. And I do think from the start of even her rookie year to now, she makes a lot less. Caitlin Clark makes very few live ball turnovers nowadays.
And I think Caitlin Clark has done that even in her first year in terms of, being able to be that floor general. Her and Aaliyah Boston's connection has really improved. And I think the thing about Caitlin, yes, she can shoot from the logo, but she makes her team better. And so I think just in terms for her, it's going to be moving. What are you doing without the ball in your hands? And I think it's going to be taking care of the ball for her, those two things. over.
She'll get better.
And especially when you're the focal point of the entire defense.
Freakish floor vision.
Mm-hmm.
I know she had that 10 turnover game.
Yeah.
But
Laughing at the 10 turnover game. Do you know how many points were the other team got of those turnovers? Dos.
yeah, but that's something.
That's like a learning. I think all of us
Exactly.
young turn the ball over.
She'll get better.
And especially when you're the focal point of the entire defense, you know, you're going to have more turnovers. You're going to have more live ball situations, and the competitive element of you do tend to take chances early on, and you learn that sometimes it might be a highlight, but 7 out of 10 times it's probably going to be a turnover. And I had to learn that because I was, you know, some of the biggest things with Pat was like offensive rebounding and me turning the ball over. So,
and it's a weird one when it comes to Caitlin Clark is if you look at where her turnovers come from, when you look at the bad turnovers, a good turnover is something where she throws the ball to somebody or she throws the ball and there's a player should have caught it and goes out of bounds because her and say Aaliyah aren't on the same page, or her and Lexi aren't on the same page, or like Natasha is just not expecting Caitlin to throw a pass in a certain way. It's funny though. This is I always feel it's the biggest problem with Caitlin that people don't realize is that when Caitlin spirals up and spirals down, and a lot of the time with Caitlin, she kind of plays her way into games. She scores and assists in bunches. Like, I've never seen somebody who is a volume assister. She's a volume assister. But if you look at the way she plays when she doesn't touch the ball, when she's playing bad, she starts doing more dumb stuff. And it is a problem. And that's the one thing I've never heard any like basketball analysts point out. And it's so obvious. It's so obvious to watch. When things are going well for Caitlin, she might make 10% of her decisions being bad. But like when she hasn't touched the ball for a while, she hasn't shot for a while, she'll shoot a dumb shot. She hasn't had an assist for a while, she'll throw the crazy assist because she's looking for that one play to ignite her and get her on a roll. But that can sometimes lead to 5, 6, 7 bad plays in a row. It is that for me, that's the biggest negative in Caitlin. And her off-ball defense is like it's not as bad as it was last year, but still horrendous. So horrendous. But obviously it is like these are stuff from Candace Parker right here and on a podcast with I think it's with Jamel Hill. And also I will talk about the Wilson stuff a little bit later because what Wilson did was exceptional. But yeah, it's apologies again about being late to all the news to today. I've just kind of been all over the place the last couple of days. Like I worked 18 hours straight on Friday and my body's still kind of recovering, and I was in the doctor and got some what I thought was some pretty rough news, but it turns out should be okay. So yeah, I've just been kind of all over the place the last few days, so I do want to apologize for that. But anyway, for the people that are watching this, Candace Parker actually talks ball. And what she was saying, it's so funny the difference between Candace Parker and like Nneka Nwumake's attitude towards everything. Nneka Nwumake is saying, "Oh, watch, don't criticize, be curious, but don't criticize." Candace Parker's like, just treat this like it's a sport. Don't be scared to criticize. Treat it like it's a sport. And it is a funny one because everything that Candace Parker says when it comes to Caitlin Clark is about the sport of basketball. I still think it's crazy that she came out with Chelsea Gray as the best point guard in the WNBA in Unrivaled. I still think that is a crazy statement to make when Chelsea Gray is about the 7th best point guard in the WNBA. It's like and they're like, oh, but like, remember what she did in 2022? It's like, yeah, so Chris Paul was nearly MVP in 2022. Let's be honest. Or it was 2021. Either way, doesn't matter. But anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.